Hello and welcome back to Fatal 12. On the last episode we finished off our time looking through Federico's eyes as we made contact with Ro. It was never revealed what his regret was to us specifically, but we've now switched back over to Rinka and it is time to begin the second elimination of the Divine Selection. So, mainly, I guess, really to see what happens now. I guess it doesn't matter whether I was awake or asleep. I find myself in the Court of Fate once again. It's impressive. It's as impressive as ever. And as I figured, it doesn't matter whether or not I'm asleep when the time comes. To my left was Miharu. To my right was that Middle Eastern man. I take a brief glance at both their faces, opting to not engaging with either of them. Part of me is afraid that that man, sorry. He doesn't seem fazed by the fact that he eliminated someone last time. Well, he has to. It's either he eliminates people, or he doesn't make it to the end. I can't imagine I'd remain that stoic, knowing I'd just stolen someone's future from them. None of the other participants speak to each other. Instead, we allow the oppressive silence to rule the court. Good evening, my lovely little slaves of fate, or to fate. The one to break the silence was none other than the girl we've all grown familiar with. She stands in the middle of the court, her posture as elegant as ever. I'm fairly sure she wasn't here when I arrived, and yet she's here now. I assume this is what it'd feel like if you saw someone teleport in front of you. She actually might be teleporting though, assuming the whole thing about being a goddess is true. I see your spirits are still rather high, much to my disappointment. Has the reality of your deaths yet to hit you? Are we supposed to be depressed? That doesn't sound like something a god should be happy about. Just hearing her speak helps convince me that she's not lying about being a goddess. You can tell she's looking down on us based on her ruthlessness, which somehow seems fitting for a goddess. Yep, pretty much. I've definitely reevaluated my thoughts on her over this past week. And the slow CG. Why? Very well, then allow us to begin tonight's election. She softly announces the beginning of the end. Hold on. Oh yeah, revolve, or Clock of Fate. So who's going to be nominating who? In response to her command, the hands on the clock begin to move. The long minute hand points to me. I didn't notice during the first round, thanks to my circumstances, but this is basically the method of confirming whether or not the participant wants to elect someone. I'll pass. My hero opts not to elect someone as well. Yeah. Federico number 3. The man appointed at numeral 3 does the same. He's tall and wears a suit. I assume he's European, based on his facial features. That reminds me, how is it determined that we'll be... What? How is it determined what we'll be wearing? That's a good... I think it's why we died in, right? I sincerely doubt he'd be sleeping in a suit, so did he get brought here while awake? Not like what you're wearing at the time reflects what you'll be wearing here, either. The fact that I'm wearing my school uniform despite going to bed in my pajamas proves that, as well as my hero. She's also in her uniform. This outfit doesn't stand out. This outfit doesn't stand out too much, so I doubt anyone could identify it without taking a picture first. But that doesn't change the fact that info on me is out in the open. There's also the fact that obviously you and Miharu are wearing the same uniform, so Not only is it 2 for 1, but it does. People will know that you used to work together. Well, not work together, but know each other, and are assuming used to are working together. In the sense of the election game. I can't do anything about it as long as I don't understand how to influence my appearance, though. I doubt you can. Putting that aside, I take a look at all the other participants again. What's number 4? That's a row. Out of everyone, number 7 is the only one who's visibly distressed. Maybe Parker was just acting cynical before. There's no doubt he'll be elected tonight. I'm sure that's what everyone else is thinking too. There's likely nothing in common between us other than the juncture of causality thing Parker mentions before. Our ages, gender, and nationality all over the place. Hold on. Number 9 and 10 are younger than me. Both are girls and foreigners, from what I can tell. Wasn't number 9 the person who potentially blew up the train? Why did kids as young as them have to die? The fact that I can only come to the reason through eliminating them is nauseating. Before I know it, the clock hands make their way to number 11. It's a tall woman built almost like a sports athlete. Not only are her legs nice and long, her chest is sizable as well. You can tell there's no way in the world that she's Japanese based on her looks. I'm normally jealous of tall people because of my height, but even I know it's impossible for me to ever look like that. A clock hand stops in front of her. I feel like our eyes meet all of a sudden. Probably because I'm staring at her for so long. I avert my eyes immediately. I don't know why, but my instincts are telling me to fear her. She's not normal. Not just because of her build. There's something fundamentally different between her and her regular people like me. It's a different kind of fear than one I feel in relation to numeral 12 too. Parts of me gets worried that I'm about to be elected, but as I expect, she goes straight for numeral 7. The small hour hand spins to the point towards him. But the platforms of both of them are standing. I'm having a hard time. The platforms both of them are standing on begin to emit an odd light. After that, the minute hand shifts to numeral 12, who simply shakes his head. Looks like he's not electing anyone tonight. There's no point if someone else is already elected. Numeral 11 elects numeral 7. Very well. Parker smiles once the longer hand finishes making its way around. That's not the face. It's not the face one should normally make when they know someone is about to be eliminated. Both of their platforms start moving. Both their platforms start to move and gradually rise above us. The same thing happens last time too. Only one of them will return. I take my eyes off the rising platform after muttering that. It doesn't take long for them to finish. Also, as I expect, it's the woman who returns. She reports the results to Parker. Her expression, one of obvious displeasure. I got numeral V's name. That damn geezer was a wuss right until the end. Oh no, old man. Numeral V looks like the oldest of us. He's most likely Japanese. He doesn't react when she mentions that she learned his name, although he might just be feigning indifference. I mean, he's an old man. Chances are he is not going to try and win. That's the archetype I'm going to get from him. In fact, the woman seems to be more transparent with her emotions than him. She's the complete opposite of numeral 12 when he elected and eliminated someone. While he displayed no emotion at all, she's openly annoyed, but deep down she seems to be enjoying this. She reminds me of a kid who gets angry when they lose a game, but secretly enjoyed the experience. Tonight's session resulted in one elimination. I bid you all farewell for now. I want more time to observe things here, but Parker brings an end to tonight's round without a moment's hesitation. Unlike the first round, I've come away from this one having learned a lot more. Unfortunately, that only serves to give me an even worse feeling about the days to come. Okay, switching back and forth between perspectives. By the time Odette eliminated Roe, morning has come. I can't even remember whether I was awake or asleep when we got taken into the dream world. It's partially due to the fact that I didn't take the time difference between here and Japan into account. But from now on, I should make sure to remain more alert on Sundays. Once we've gotten ready to leave, we call on room service, and that brings us up some breakfast. So in the end, what was Rose's regret? Figured you'd have known by now. You even mentioned it yourself. I did. I think back to my previous suggestion, albeit without much confidence. So it had to do something with his lover. Oh boy, you really don't have a clue. She gulps down the rest of her Americano before continuing. Gotta say, she really likes espresso-based drinks, doesn't she? Dog-related. Dog? You don't mean... Yes and no, a dog, but not as lovers. You wanted to raise one. To be there for it as a pup, to become best friends with it as it grows older, and to be by its side during its last moments. This man's regret was not wanting a pet dog. Sounds mundane, but a few people are able to experience something like that, I suppose, but even still. Part of me finds it hard to believe that someone can have that much regret over a dog. I agree. Come on, everyone has their own priorities. Ain't it normal to have a pet or two where you're from? Yeah, but a regret over not having one? Where I'm from, I'm not fond of having to talk about myself, so I try to shift topics. Mind if I ask how you figured that out? I thought it might be the case when you mentioned that his lover had a dog of her own. Did a bit of digging after that, and bingo, turns out his wife has a dog. His wife has dog allergies, so no surprise he couldn't own one. Is that the reason he cheated on his wife as well? I mean, why? Why is that his priority? He spills every last bean on his personal life after that. His parents, who lived in the countryside, had a dog back when he lived with them during his youth. That dog was killed in a traffic accident, though. Alright, that makes sense. His family refused to get another pet after that, since the sudden shock that came from losing it was too much for them. And that led to the birth of Rose's great regret. He wished he could have been there for his family's he wished he could have been there for his family's dog's final moment. I can get where he's coming from, but I can't imagine it turning into your life's biggest regret. Yeah, I'm with Federico on this. It makes sense why he would regret it, but not why it would be his biggest regret. She scoffs in response. Believe it or not, this brute actually has a soft spot for animal. Hell, her ultimate regret might be dog-related as well. Not like you can keep a pet when you're already out at sea. I mean, what if it was water-based, like a fish, or some kind of aquatic animal? Either way, the discussion moves away from Rose shortly after that. Over the course of his life, he kept too busy and was too financially unstable to own a pet. But once he got married and settled down, he discovered that his wife had allergies. Guess we'll never know whether or not he convinced his lover to get a dog because of that, or if he went with her because she already owned one. Hell, she could have just been some lady he hired to look after his secret dog, pet dog. Odette's the only one with those answers now. Oh well, probably shouldn't concern myself with someone who's been eliminated. Oh, what's the news about what the news have to say about him? The goddess said that anyone eliminated during divine selection would have a reversal of their deaths undone. Not only that, but any events linked to that period of time would also be undone. See for yourself. She flings her smartphone across from the table in response. I don't even need to browse the web based on her reaction, so I gave a casual glance towards the screen before handing it back. 2 weeks ago, an executive for a well-known Chinese corporation suffered a stroke during a meeting and died. Yeah, sounds about right. Speaking of which, you were taken up above the court of fate when you elected Roe, right? What was it like up there? I'm starting to find myself curious about this election process. It works. Well, it's a bit of a pain to explain, but I guess it'll be worth it for you to know down the road. She doesn't seem too sure at first, but she decides to take time to give me a primer. And a pretty long primer at that, even for someone who talks as much as she does. The circular platforms both Odette and Roe were standing on began to rotate as they were raised above the court of fate. Upon reaching the certain height, they stopped ascending. The layout of the upper area was similar to the lowest stratum, but parts of it felt different somehow. The goddess, displaying her usual wry smile, had made her own ascent before either participants could blink. Do proceed. After ascending, all the cards in Odette's possession sprung out from her book at once. A strange light surrounding them, masking both of their number and constant the contents from everyone's view except Odette's. So, do I just say what info I have on him out loud? You wretched wench. Do as you please with these cards in your possession. Odette's eyes scanned across the cards in front of her. She currently had 9 cards, including her own. Among them were 3 specific cards she needed to read out loud. She had 9? Right, okay, she has 9 cards, so that's what? 3 of her own, 3 of Roe's, and probably, 3 being Federico's? She brushes her fingers against... Oh, then again, the 3 that she has is probably... the other 3 is probably the random 3 she got. She brushes her fingers against them before speaking. Roe Chano, please don't, I'm begging you. Cause of death, a stroke. You realize that I have a family, don't you? How do you plan to account for them after killing me? Cease this nonsense now, and I can recompense you handsomely. Money and stocks, and even land. You name it, and I can provide it. Christ, you are pathetic. Please, I'll give you as much as you want. I'll even give you access to my credit details. You'll never have to go work another day in your life. His regret was his dog. It's over. It's all over. Sorry, but you can't put a price on my life. More importantly, when it comes to compensation, I'm always in it to win it. Once Odette finished, 3 of her cards floated away from her. After reaching the middle of the court of fate, they came together to form a triangular shape. Nice knowing you, Giza. Who knows whether or not you could hear his word? Who knows whether or not he could hear her last words to him? He simply hung his head in despair, realizing his fate had been sealed. One by one, Odette's card began to emit a white light. May fortune shine on the departed. Said light got brighter and brighter until eventually blanketing the entire area. And then it happened. In the brief moment that Odette's vision was blinded by the light enveloping the area, her consciousness was overtaken by an unfamiliar scene. Her senses were linked to the scene as well. I have no idea what that means. Are you watching what happened? She witnessed an odd She witnessed a number of old, chubby men, all wearing expensive suits and sitting in an oddly bright room. Their faces were all twisted into an expression of boredom. The artificial lighting in the room was almost blinding when it reflected off the documents that had been brought along, so you get to watch how the person died. It was apparent that they were holding some sort of meeting. She could tell that it was one of the great importance, judging from the tone of their voices. However, she was unable to hear the details of the conversation. Some manner of interference prevented her from doing so. And then the unexpected struck. All of a sudden, her vision went blurry. Next, her face slammed down on the table with a thud. She was unable to muster the strength to move her body whatsoever. She collapsed down onto the floor. The unclear voices were clearly being directed towards her. Eventually, her consciousness faded as she lost all bodily sensations. A stream of memories followed. I was going to say flowed. All manner of people were talking to her, but it was impossible to make out a single word they were saying. Regardless, the sense of disconnect she felt at that moment made it clear that what was going on. These were Ro's memories of the moment he died, engraved upon his very soul. As he drew his last breath, Ro's thoughts were of his dog that died when he was young. That's going to make things harder. If you have to experience death, potentially like 11 times, just to win this. By the time the flashback ended, Ro had disappeared from Odette's sight. The cards she had elected... the cards she used to elect him did the same, and the room returned to its usual gloomy atmosphere. One thing she noticed was that the beam of light that shone above had grown thicker, although she wasn't sure whether or not it was just her imagination. So the electors are forced to experience the death of the elected. You sure are messed up in the head, aren't you? Parker opted to respond with nothing beyond her wry smile. In her hand were 3 cards. Odette realized that these were the cards that were in Ro's possession. Numeral V's name, numeral 11's name, and numeral 11's cause of death. Which would you like? Well, 2 of them are ours, so the platform on which Odette stood began to move as soon as Parker asked the question. Do take your time to think about it while we descend. Ain't much of a choice, is it? Well, she had imagined this outcome, the fact that she was so on the money that left her visibly annoyed. Following that, both her and Parker returned to the level of the court fate. Well. I try to imagine everything that she just explained to me. Basically, you're forced to experience the same death as those you eliminate. Man, that's freaky. That Parker kill sure is cruel, despite appearances. You think? I found the whole thing pretty exciting. That's a lie. I don't think you did. In response, I make sure to sigh loudly enough for her to hear it. She keeps babbling on without a care in the world, though. More importantly, we're heading to Japan next. Might as well, considering we'll need to get there at some point. It's an especially good time to go now. What with the new card you just got belonging to a Japanese guy and all. A super old guy at that. Yep, let's head out after we finish the scrub. It finally feels like the second round's over, and now that we've decided our next move. Washing down the last flaky bits of my croissant with some milk. Odd pair. I don't know why you would mix those two up. I stand up and get ready to leave. Okay. Morning brings back memories of another nightmare with a second round of the divine selection has taken place. By this point, I already accepted that I'm a participant. The fact that I'm alive right now makes it hard to comprehend the reality of my own death. But it's no longer whether about I believe it or not. Rather, the events that have taken place so far are starting to get to me because they feel so detached from my own personal life. Divine selection's grinding along, and 2 people have been eliminated without any further influence from me whatsoever. I keep telling myself that they had died over 2 weeks ago, but I can't forget the faces of the faces I saw at the Court of Fate. That alone is enough to make my heart ache. I don't want to die. Not having access to my own cards is so frustrating too. There's one major reason behind my reluctance regarding all of this, and it's the fact that I don't know my own regret is. I bet Miharu has a regret. I still haven't sorted things out with Miharu, but it's entirely possible that we could both be eliminated while preoccupied with it. As afraid as I am of both the woman from last night and the guy from the first round, not to mention everyone else, I'm not about to go down without a fight. My first and foremost priority, getting someone's card. I have 3 cards at the moment. If I'm going to do any digging, it needs to start with the people that these belong to. I can look up that Federico Carminati, right? Person after I finish collecting my thoughts. As expected, no useful information. All I learned is that it's a common name in Italy. The other two cards provide me with the cause of death of numeral 4, and the regret of numeral 9, which we did see, didn't we? All I know about them is that they seem to be foreigners. Where am I even meant to start? I mean, technically, you could start with Miharu, let's be fair. After a big sigh, I set out on my morning routine. There's always the possibility that the other participants don't know anything about me. Doesn't mean I can't waste my time, though. My own name card was among those distributed at the beginning, which means it's only a matter of time until someone puts 2 and 2 together. One thing that made me curious is the number of 4's cause of death. Much like mine, that card has died in a fire. From what I recall, numeral 4 is a boy from abroad. Of course, there's no guarantee that he got caught up in the very same situation as me. Much like how there's no guarantee I simply died in the fire itself. In fact, I still don't recall how one broke out on the train in the first place. I'm assuming a bomb. There are plenty of possibilities, from a simple accident to an intentional terrorist attack. But there's no way for me to find out when the act has been undone. That's true. In other words, I have to get all I've got going is my memory. Screw this. No point in forcing myself to try and remember. Especially when there's a near zero chance of a hint magically appearing to help me out. I make my way downstairs, have some bread, and then head to school. Is Miharu here? Or... Ooh, lunchtime at last. Did you bring your own? Mao and Miharu stroll over to my seat when the bell chimes for lunch. I plan to go into the cafeteria for my own, but Mao catches me just in time. We probably would have eaten separately if she hadn't, considering my mind is a little preoccupied. So much for trying to go about my life as usual. Yeah, I was just about to head over to the cafeteria. Actually, I overslept a bit this morning, so I didn't have time to make my own lunch. Overslept, huh? Obviously, I won't ask if that's thanks to being in the dream world. Sure as Reth you'd oversleep. Either way, full speed ahead for the cafeteria. The university campus has its own cafeteria, which is open for our use as well. Middle schoolers aren't allowed to use it, but once you hit high school, it's fair game. Since it's a little awkward hanging around the university students, most of us tend to buy our food and then go eat somewhere else. That goes double considering how much we stand out. Yeah, That you were part of the misfit group, weren't you? That being the case, we make our way to the rooftop after getting our food. I mean, I don't know if this is just a Japan thing, but at least schools schools from where I'm from don't allow you on the roof, so it's odd to see people allowed just to eat up there. Then again, though, because like obviously you're on the roof, but you've also got like, you know, tables and chairs set down, so obviously you're allowed. We've got it all to ourselves today. The rooftop is usually crowded with students on days like this, but fortunately it doesn't seem to be the case today. What did you two get? A ham sandwich. Decent. It's simple, but it does the job, not to mention nice and cheap. I'd probably just go with chicken, maybe beef. You sure this could be enough? I could ask you the same. Yakisoba bread and anpan isn't much more filling than what I have. Hey now. I got some coffee milk as well, so in terms of calories, I'm miles ahead of you. She jams a straw into the carton with a triumphant gulp. I think with that, we'll have to call it there on a nice positive topic of food. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I can see you in the next one. With that, goodbye.